Good evening, everybody. Whew. How's it going? Just finishing getting things set up, but we're here with a brand new season, which is pretty sweet, if I do say so myself. Of course, starting out the night with some Legends action, and then moving into the Porsche 911 Class 1. Coincidentally, this is going to be the one night where both series are at, like, street tracks. Given that the Porsche is mainly focused on street tracks, street-esque tracks, and the Legends is on short layouts, so we're actually going to be doing the short layout of Highlands. But yeah, it'll be an interesting couple of series. No idea how they're going to go, especially not the Porsche. The Legends is the Legends, so I suspect that'll be pretty fun. Some of the tracks might be a little unconventional compared to what we usually run, but I think it should all work out. But the Porsche, I have no idea. That car is an absolute monster. Yeah, from what testing I did with the AI definitely cannot get the most out of that car, so it'll be interesting to see what it can do against real humans who are driving the same car. I think no doubt it'll be pretty interesting, if nothing else. Be bloody fast as well. But yeah, definitely looking forward to it. I guess a couple of quick little updates on the website. So, small update there is that obviously the Season 4 results have been moved into a new tab labeled as Historic Results, and I got a new results table set up for this current championship when it gets going. The Historic Results eventually, at some point, I'll slowly fill it out with the results from all the previous championships. One thing I am working on as well, which I sort of have a little bit of a nearly working proof of concept for, but I know it will definitely work. I've just got to get all the formatting right. Is that I have a way to show the individual race results underneath the championship results that I think will be pretty neat. The main pain there is just figuring out the easiest way. I'm basically going to have to write some like scripts that'll pre-format the information into the format I want, because it's a lot. We've done quite a lot of races already, so there's quite a lot of races that I've got to kind of categorize under this. And I think the server is live. Yes, it is. Cool. But yeah, no, so it's just kind of like little back end things that I've been working on. Because yeah, that'd be nice to actually have the full race results. I did look at trying to, because I already have a little thing made that makes them into like a nice CSV format, but I need to do a bit more fiddling around to actually get that format displayed on the website. I did try and add a couple of extra bits to that. Notably, the laps led. Well, the gaps and the laps led. I think I've got the gaps sorted out. I tried to get the laps led on there, though, and I realized that it was going to be really complicated to figure that out. Because, I guess to explain a little bit, as we got some early practice laps here. So, obviously, you would think laps led is pretty simple, right? You just look at the data that's output for each lap and you see who is in the lead, and you just say, yep, that person led that lap, good. However, the way AC handles the laps is not so simple for this particular reason. I get why Kunos did it the way they did, because it makes it a lot simpler for their end in terms of outputting the data, but in terms of actually trying to make it into something that looks nice, it's a huge pain in the ass. Because basically, the way Kunos tracks the race laps, so actually in the results file, Kunos has two separate lists, right? There's the results list, which shows the final race standings of everyone. Funnily enough, that doesn't tell you how many... In that doesn't tell you how many laps they've led or how many laps they completed, even. You have to work that out. But that's like kind of the summary that gives you a lot of... the bulk of the information for a results table. However, where things do change is in the laps. There's a separate list for laps. But what they do here is every time a driver completes a lap, it's added on to the list. Right? So if we have like drivers A, B, and C, you'd be driver A, driver B, driver C, driver A, driver B, driver C, and that list just keeps looping. But say if driver A crashes, then the next lap would be driver B instead of driver A, because obviously A doesn't finish the lap. So, and if A doesn't continue, there'll be no more laps listed for him. So we know that A's only done 2 laps, but it kind of breaks a lot of sequencing logic. And it means that, like, actually trying to figure out who led what laps is a lot harder than you'd... or a lot more complicated with a lot more pitfalls than you'd think. Which is kind of annoying. Because I was really curious to try and find out how many laps everybody led on last week's race at Indy. If you missed that, I do recommend you go back and maybe watch the live stream, because that was a fun race. Really fun race. Everybody was competitive in that race. It was great fun. But eventually I might... hopefully I'll have a time to get that into a bit of a smaller video package and put that out there, because it was a really cool race. But what do you call it? Yeah, so I was curious to see how many laps everybody led, and that was when I came to the realization that, oh, actually doing this is going to be a lot harder than I thought. Because there's no real easy, convenient way to work it out. A lot of the other, basically all the other numbers are pretty simple. Gaps were a little complicated, because again, the way the laps are, it's a bit hard to tell. But what I basically had to do was, I was able to reuse some of the calculations and just bank the leader's information. And then say, oh, if you're not the leader, then check how far away you were from the leader. If you are more than laps down, then we'll just subtract the laps and say that. If you're on the lead lap, we'll just take away the finish, like the total times from each other, and be like, oh, okay, there you go. You're like this much time behind. So that worked out, but again, it was... the format that Kunos spits out the results in is less friendly to work with than you'd maybe think. I do wonder how some of these other platforms manage to do it without things breaking. Well, maybe things, maybe they just let them break. I don't know. I feel like it would take a lot more complex scripting than what I have in place now to really suss all that out. So I could definitely wait till later down the line, that's for sure. Probably actually try driving faster on here though, because I've just been cruising at the moment. Tariffs slowly catching up behind me. Small little updates, but just wanted to highlight those. When will those things be fully out? I don't know. Hopefully sometime this season. But it depends when I have time and when I feel like working on them, so... The Labs LED stuff likely won't come till a lot later. I have to really sit down and think about that, but the individual race results is something I would like to do sooner rather than later, so... And I know it's something I can do. It's just going to be quite a bit of work, especially for the historic ones. Maybe I'll get it up for the current season first, and then backport it to the current season. But I do need to kind of come up with some kind of workflow, like automated workflow for handling all of this stuff, so I don't have to do it for processing all the historic results and stuff. So at the moment, yeah, things are still very manual. A lot of the automation for website generation stuff is all... Or like content processing is on like my local side, not on the actual website side. But later down the line, that'll change. I'll eventually make it so that that's not the case. Ow. It's pretty simple. I definitely do have time to save, but when I catch Mateo, because he's down in the 52s. Good evening, Mr. Kim. Yes, evening. It's 54. Oh, that was slower. Oh, it's a bit of a riot. Oh, I'm in the wall again. God, okay. It's actually my best lap yet. So, even with that, it's like a kiss with the wall. Oh, check some mismatch. Well, that's a new one. Stock track and car that I don't think has been updated in years. Unless it did get a secret update that I've never seen. too. Yeah, if anybody is interested in joining, there are still 7.5 minutes of practice left, and there are open slots. So feel free to join in, even if you haven't registered. First round of the new season. Bumps are kind of crazy in this first sector, though. And these curbs and some of these corner exits really do just jack up the side that you hit them with. You have to be careful. I wonder what the widest track we're going to be going to this season. Actually, yeah, and I'm pretty certain it is the widest track we'll be using in this car. Most amount of real estate we got to play with. I'm not sure if it's... I don't think it's the longest lap, though. Definitely not, actually. I think the EIR South is definitely longer. The way this car slides through some of these corners is so nice. It's just getting that subtle slide. Here a bit less so, but through that like high-speed corner earlier, that was really slick. I don't know if there's really much I could change with this car to try and make it a little faster. It's pretty nice as it is. But I'm like 7 temps back, so... I don't know if that's down to my driving, or... I mean, I'm sure some of it is. I'm not getting the maximum out of it, but how much of that is down to what I can eke out of the setup? I don't know. Maybe I can get away with shortening the gears a little bit. I know by default this is on the longest gears. It's typically fine because the other gears are quite short for this thing. Paddles look too bouncy, yeah. I just felt like I definitely exploited the car and track a bit more. D28, yeah. I feel like she's changing the setup wise. The traction cornering speed, yeah. I guess I could probably get away with lower. Oop. Yeah, that lowers quite drastically. I probably could get away with lowering this. Try knocking these down a click. See what that gets me. So now I gotta jack these back up, but whatever. Okay. Just front turrets, okay. Can't change the rear. Oh, you're right, I forget this car's a little weird and the tire pressures are all the way over here. Not with the tires. They're down here. On their own. I think those are fine though. It's not really a lot I could change there. Speed laps 27. 23 minutes of fuel. I'd probably chop out like most of, like half the tank. Try shortening the gears a bit. See what that gives us also. Not a lot of wiggle room to change on this car, which I don't mind. That's why I kept it just fully open, because not a crazy amount. Definitely feeling a bit more stable now, though. This is tricky. It's just quite bouncy in general, so I don't think I can really do much about that. What the lap time shows at the end, I guess. Be the most telling indicator. I feel like these gear ratios might be a little short. I might still want to run the defaults. Which, mind you, I only went one click down. The 2.7 though, it was definitely faster. Given that they're breaking into the 51s now. Probably pull the brake bias back a bit. Give me a bit more rotation under braking. Which would probably help. PB, that 52.7 is my PB. So definitely has helped. Last gasp run with a real nasty bump before that final turn. 52.5. Okay, seems like this is coming together nicely. Good practice is over, so. That is that. All she wrote. Save that there. Push the brake bias back a little bit, about. We'll do 66%. Don't want to go back too far. Okay, qualifying time. Only 5 minutes for qualifying here. Gotta make it count. However, we then have 2 short sprints. Really have to fight the bumps through that last sector. Oh, bit deep there in the wall. Not ideal. Should be better than my outlet, but I don't expect it's going to be anything spectacular. Yeah. Blowing this first turn really hurt that time. Definitely want to aim for the low mid 52s. Not sure if I have the gusto to get a 51. But I think I could definitely get a lower 52. Now over that corner. Even though you could probably do that flat if the road was smooth, you definitely have to lift going into there. You want 8 from Mattia. Crazy stuff. Bit too much throttle on the exit there. Okay. 52-1, nice. Totally good enough for third, but easily the best time I've done so far. Good sign of improvements. Thank you very much. Yeah. It's coming together slowly. Slowly but surely. A little slower, but consistent. Not far off. Positive for the race. Tells me that last lap wasn't a complete fluke. I definitely struggle with the exit of that turn. Too much wheel spin. Even though I'm trying to be pretty steady on the throttle. Too much sliding there. Wasn't great. Could have been faster, but I kind of floundered that at the end. Oh well. Happy with that setup though. We'll bank that in. Maybe I'll try lifting the rear end just a tiny bit. Try and give it a little more rear end rotation. Get a... Actually, no, we're not really going to get a look. Okay. Very close to the top, though, and it seems like best of the rest of me. Did Phil not get a lap in qualifying? Guess he didn't. It's his time 53.8. Well, we shall see how the race goes. 2 short races here with a full reverse grid, so just realized I don't have trusty old driver names on. How do I start this car? I think I could just go, but we'll see. Cheers to the luck. I will need it. I think my goal really is podium. I think those two ahead are way too quick. Okay. Lights are on. This thing up the line. Fuck it, we can. Right off that curve. Guess we're gonna find out where the difference is. Onto these front two pretty nicely at the moment. Maybe getting over that curve a bit. It was a bit late on the brakes into there. Not ideal. So I'm gonna double rear mirror. I didn't even think about that. They're bumping up on that curb, huh? So far, sticking with these two pretty well. Pretty happy with that. I'm actually gonna try and turn that off because I don't really need it. But this car's a gawking big mirror, anyways. Perspective is a bit different, but I could at least still see, so it's good enough. I think those two are just generally a bit better in their execution than I am, though. You can see they're slowly getting away. He is very sideways there. Yari is all over me at the moment. Holy cow. In fact, the mirror is actually normal size. The car is just so small. Yeah. That is a good point. I kind of have the same thing with my road car, to be honest. The side mirrors are tiny, but the rear view mirror is actually normal size. But inside the car it looks pretty big because the rest of the car is so small. Not quite as small as this, though, I don't think. So close to that wall. Worried I'm just gonna like knock it and get pinballed off into the abyss. Seems like Matteo's gonna try on Matteo up ahead though. Not quite. Matteo's still. Oh, yeah, sorry, still trying to fall onto my rear end. Sniffing all over. These guys are a lot more liberal with the curbs than I am. That's one thing I'm noticing. Very tepid in my curb usage. Well, do I drive MX-5? No. Yuki Cappuccino. Smaller. Kind of in a position. Well, I drove this like hunk of junk, like Citroen C1 for like forever, pretty much. Oh my god! Nearly threw that one away. But it was a cheap car to leave lying around because with my current working situation. Oh, I fucked that up. Or at least of how my working situation's been for the past few years, I haven't really needed to drive many places. So the old Citroen got a bit too old. Well, not really a bit too old, but like it wasn't a great car to begin with. It was noteworthy because it was so slow. But I couldn't even hit I struggled to hit the motorway speed limits in that thing. Oh my god. Yeah, MX-5 is basically, yeah, it is. Yeah, surprisingly, from the inside, it doesn't feel so bad that, like, every other car is bigger than you. It's not until you step out of the car when you really realize it, and you're like, oh yeah. Like, I am just smaller than everything else on the road, excluding motorbikes. On the inside, it surprisingly doesn't feel too bad. But yeah, no, I decided last year, I was like, I don't really need to drive many places, so fuck it. I'll buy like a leisure car. You know, car I'd take out on the weekends. Most motorbikes, yeah. Oh, Yari's lagging a bit there. Your car I could take out on the weekends and whatnot, go for little drives around and stuff like that. And I saw one of them pop up, and I was like, you know, like, over here at least, they are very rare. And this is a UK model too, which there are only 1,000 of in general. Not that the UK model's anything crazy special, but you know, I saw it. It was a low mileage UK model, good spec, pretty decent price. I mean, it was a little pricey, but for how clean it was and how rare the car is over here, I was like, eh. It's within the budget I was looking at. And I figured, like, maybe, like, the only chance I'd have to own one of these cars, so fuck it. If it goes really bad, I'll just sell it and buy something else. But, I definitely have not hated owning it, so... Of course, there are some challenges with its form factor and whatnot. Like, I can't store very much in it, but it's really not as bad in a lot of ways, I think, as people would think. There are some bigger sports cars, particularly mid-engine ones, that actually have smaller boot spaces than mine does, so I could at least store like a couple of backpacks in the back. Unless I put the roof in there, then there's nothing. No space. Oh shit. It's falling apart for me now. Most motorbikes, yeah. Yeah, some motorbikes are pretty good. Oh, yellow flag. I turned too early. Fuck. Yeah, it's definitely been an experience owning the car. I haven't driven it as much as I maybe would have liked to, but I've gotten some reasonable mileage out of it here and there. And I've gone through some of the ownership woes already of owning a rare old car. Definitely don't regret it. Final lap here of race 1. Luckily we got a second race. So I can try to redeem myself a bit after floundering late on in this race. No horn. Okay, race 2 time. I'm gonna keep everything as it is. That seemed like it worked. Okay, it was mainly me, I think, that was the problem. This game is so old, there had banners of the NVIDIA GTX series, yeah. That hasn't loaded it, right? Could look at that afterwards. But I'm gonna stick with what I have. Mine is all right. Oh, I think he's meaning literally with that. Oh yeah, I guess because this track is basically all right turns, yeah. Yeah, this game is pretty old now. What? 2014 was when it originally came out, so that was 12. Yeah, 12 years old now. I do feel like modern sim developers, I feel like they need to kind of take a look at themselves a bit, right? Oh, a bit of a tussle behind. Oh, I've gone in a bit deep here. Oh, I didn't mean to dive it on Phil like that, but I kind of have. Letting Adam break away with the lead here briefly. Oh, he's got a big slide going on there. Yeah, it's like when you think of like what the most popular sims are, right? You've got AC, you've got iRacing. AC is from 2014, iRacing all the way back in 2008. Oof, he's gonna get freight trained here a bit. Oh, a bit of a contact. Unlucky. But luckily, it didn't seem to end too badly for anyone. Phil's gone very wide here. Yeah, and then it's like, what else? Yeah, Race Room's 2013, I think. But it's like, even like BeamNG, right? BeamNG is like 10 years old now, and it's still in early access. But it's like, I'd say like BeamNG, AC, and iRacing are probably like the most popular like racing/driving simulators on Steam, right? And they're all pretty old now. they're over 10 years old, all of them. And it's like, you look at these modern sims that are coming out, though, and they're not really able to get the same... R-Factor 2, yeah. They're not able to get that same foothold, right? We're still talking about the same old games that are, like, decades old. Like, sure, I mean, AMS2 kind of, but, like, it really hasn't made as much of a splash as, like, as a lot of these other sims, right? ACC was probably the closest, but... And I guess LMU, but they're hyper-focused into, like, one thing. And I guess that's kind of the way you have to do it, really, maybe. But, like, you know, none of these more generalized sims that have come out in the last years have really managed to do anything. AC Evo is a confused mess. AMS2 is a little bit of a mess still, as well. Has a lot of positives, but also has a lot of negatives. Project Cutter series crashed and burned. Rensport is a complete joke. What else? I don't even remember what else. There's definitely been more. But they're so irrelevant, I've forgotten them already. You know, and it's not like the appetite for realistic racing games is dead, because, I mean, well, look at how many people are still playing those 3 games I mentioned earlier. AC, iRacing, BeamNG, you know, alone. There's a whole heap of people playing these games still. I mean, look at Horizon 6. Horizon 6 is more casual, sure, but it's still... It's definitely more simmy than a lot of, like, actual arcade races. You have, like, tuning setups, tire compounds. A lot of vehicle dynamics are actually simulated, albeit in a bit more of a simplified and exaggerated way for ease of driving. Got overtaken here. It's really not easy. Stuck behind Phil for ages now. And I mean, Gran Turismo as well. Gran Turismo still sells like hotcakes. And that in recent years has definitely taken on more of a stimmy aesthetic. I haven't really played much of Sport or 7, so I don't know how successfully it captures that. But it's like, there's still definitely... Oh, he's gone deep. Can I sweep on through? I think I can. Bit crazy at the moment. Okay. Deadfield AMS2. Oh. Never really got there to meet speed. Should improve, but not enough. Yeah, I did try going back to AMS2 and they'd reset all of my controls and whatnot, and I really couldn't be bothered to map them again, so I just... I gave up. Maybe one day I'll come back and play some more. What's for it all already? And Clarkson's voice, yeah. But it's more just proof that, like, you know, there is still an appetite for these kind of games out there. But it's like, developers seem to keep missing the ball, right? Even the newest Gran Turismo and Horizon, even though they're massively popular, there's still a lot of things with those games that kind of miss the mark a bit. In terms of, like, you know, like, actual, like, gameplay value and stuff. I mean, I have been playing and relatively enjoying Horizon 6 over the past week or two. I bought it a little after it came out. But, after, like, the early access period and whatnot. But, like, the... You know, seeing... You know, it still lacks... It's still lacking in a lot of ways, I feel. But I feel like whenever people try and, like, do something new with a racing game, I feel like they try and reinvent the wheel too hard. And it ends up backfiring. Because I don't think for racing games you need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to do what's already been done, really. And just bring it forward into a more modern setting. The blueprints are already there. We've had so many good racing games in the past, or good ideas bottled up in various racing games that are just lacking nowadays. Yeah, AC Evo had so much of an opportunity that it threw in the bin because, I don't know. I don't know what everyone else is doing with that. I mean, in rallying side as well, right? Like, I guess kind of proves the point. ACE or, you know, Richard Burns Rally is still the most popular. Ooh, God, I didn't get to do that. Whoopsie. Fuck. God damn it. AC Rally is still the most. Well, not AC Rally, fuck. Richard Burns Rally is still the most popular rally game out there, like Rally Sim. Because it's like all the others that have come out just don't really compete. The KT games had a pretty interesting career mode, but like they had a lot of flaws with the overall driving and game experience. EAWRC was a whole bag of nothing. Dirt Rally 2 was good, but it definitely had its flaws. And it's been kind of shoveled now. AC Rally, I hear everybody says AC Rally is pretty good, but like, it has such little content that it's just not really worth it for a rallying game at the moment. And the way they're adding content to it is at like a glacial pace also, so it's like, come on now. I'd love to play some new racing games that are cool and fun. Well, I guess I technically am with Horizon 6, but like, at the end of the day, it is kind of... It is also a bit of a tired formula at this point. It just happens to be that I haven't really played much of that formula over the past few years. Because I haven't played any... I completely skipped 5. But it's like, I mean, heck, I remember trying the demo for... They finally released a demo for, like, the new Screamer game. I was curious to try it out and see what it's like, right? Because I see a lot of people raving about it, but honestly, the demo was, like, the worst thing ever. The demo gave you the opening part of the story, but, like, by the time it cuts you off, it's, like, 80% talking, 20% driving. And the driving that you do doesn't explain half the mechanics yet, and is very short. And then you go into the arcade mode afterwards, and it's like, the game has to explain to you all the mechanics that the story hasn't taught you yet, because it's a demo and you can't play any further. And it's just like, oh my god. But also there, I felt like they tried to reinvent the wheel too much. They could have just, you know, done what... They could have just done what, like, Screamers of old did. Oh, I didn't get to type it. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like so many new racing games, they either try too hard or they don't try enough. And in both cases, they royally miss the mark. It's just kind of frustrating. Because it's a genre that could be really good. I mean, we know it. We know it can be really good. But it's It's not. Trammer at the front, yeah. Oh, I fucked up big time there. I think this is going to load Race 2's replay. I'll have to check and see if I have Race 1, but I don't think anything crazy happened in Race 1, so if we do miss that, it's not the end of the world, I don't think. Unless somebody has anything specific they wanted to show from that. Car's fun because it worked more as Jeff copying me no matter the setup. Yeah. Yeah, Legends car's always a riot. Got a nice little breakaway at the start here. Lap 6 is all sliding. Oh yeah, and a little lock up there. Was unlucky. And it needs to get absolutely freight trained on the exit. Cool. Yeah, alright. Yeah, Kim, remember you gotta slide on. Oh yeah. Turning. You know things are going well when you're turning left in a right-hander. And you're not on dirt. Oh. Luckily you got away, you both got away with that mostly. That could have easily gone a lot worse. Bit of a gaggle back here, though. These two side by side. I did notice it was pretty hard to overtake here. Be interesting to see what it'll be like at the other tracks. Because I feel like this was the most open track we were going to. Or we're going to, so... Gets past that wall, not quite. Okay, Tia then sweeps through. And Mateo just gets a lot of understeer there. Chase camera's probably not the right call too, maybe not. I was struggling to get past Phil. I couldn't really find any openings. I knew I was quicker. I just couldn't get that gap. Or couldn't get that run that I needed. He was quick enough out of the key overtaking points. See, I was just sniffing around constantly. Trying to maybe goad him into a little mistake. Pump draft him until he outbreaks himself. You know, I maybe should have. I've done that before unintentionally in R-Factor 2 once. Bump drafted this guy all the way down the main straight in these like little like Fiat 500 things. And he carried so much speed at the turn one that he just went straight off. Wasn't my intention at all. I was just trying to catch the next car ahead. But that was how it ended up working out. Yeah, Phil goes deep here. So I immediately pounce on that. Yeah, he tried to go around the outside, but it didn't really work. A quick look at some of these liveries. Of course, standard. I think this is the same as last time, I think. That's when we ran this back in SRS. Pretty cool nonetheless, though. I think Mateo... I don't remember if I had Mateo's ready, but... pretty neat. And Mateo with the... I saw the white walls, I didn't see all the mobster. Mobster graphics, the good old... good old GAT headlights. No, there's more checkers. Well, I'm not gonna count them, so that's just another standard one. So you could be right, you could be wrong. I'm not checking. Otherwise, we'll be here till like Well, I'll completely miss the next race. Nice move there. I got a bit of a mistake. That was Phil, actually. Never mind. Gets rid of Phil pretty quick as well. It's after me. My nice lead very quickly became nothing. Came up the inside here. Here, I think. Yeah, I just came over too much. Oops. Fuck. I thought I maybe had a little more space than I did to give, but I didn't. So, whoops. Around I went. That was my race done. That was a big whoopsie. All my fault, because I had the whole width of the track. And I guess from here on out, did much happen? Feels like these two are pretty close. Does Yari get Phil? Oh, look, it's real wide there, but he holds it. Does he keep out of it till the end? Yari's all over him. It seems like he might just about hold on. Oh. Big slide through the final corner for Phil. Yari going all the way to the wall. Last ditch attempt. Didn't work out though. That wasn't too bad though. That's pretty good. Shame I had to fuck it all up, but who would it be? So you spun on the final corner. Oh, I didn't see that. Let me see if I have race 1 replay. I feel like I don't, annoyingly. Wait, do I? No. Should we race 2 again? No. Only giving me qualifying. Bummer. Hate that it does that. And it just doesn't always save the second race replay. Or first race replay, sorry. Okay, server for the 911 is up. 911 class 1. Crazy machine. I have no idea what the setup is really going to be for this thing, so I'm just going to get out there and get a bit of driving in. This thing is an absolute monster. Of course, based on the DTM Super GT Class 1 rule set wrapped around the Porsche 911 991 chassis. So it is an absolute ballistic missile. Yeah, Class 1 was kind of a weird project, given that I don't really know how it was ever really gonna work out. It was a cool idea on paper. Oh, fuck. But in practice, I feel like it was a bit stupid. Maybe the ultimate idea was that, like, they would, you know, you would be able to run all cars in both series, so you'd start seeing like what do you call it? You start seeing like Nissans, Toyotas, Hondas, and the likes appearing in DTM, and the German manufacturers like your Audis, your Beamers, your Mercs, appearing in Super GT, but it never really happened. And then DTM went and shat the bed completely. So much for the rules set, really. I mean, it lives on with Super GT, but it's kind of a shell of what could have been. This first corner flat. I haven't checked. I don't think so. Nope. Oh, it's crazy grip. Not unlimited grip. I'm going to Alright, I need to turn the mirror back on. Kind of turn that off. Thanks. Okay. Try dialing some of that out. Something you do have to be careful in this car, though, is overheating those rears. This car could become very not fun when you do that. Sort of a point they hit where they just kind of go, nope, I'm done. Softs can do multiple races, really. To be honest, I never really did a long run with the car to check out the tire wear. So I guess you're saying softs are just the way to go then? Ooh. At least here, I'd say maybe, because the mediums seem pretty cold. Speaking of tires doing multiple races, it reminded me, I had this like random idea come to me one day of like, what if like I spun this into like being some like weird like, spun like the whole like community race system thing and gave it like a little spin-off thing with like its own like kind of online career mode thing where you could like, you'd have to buy cars and tires and fuel and whatnot. But I was like, that would just be like way too complicated. Also, would need a consistent population across like different classes and yada yada. It'd be hard to super grip, but I didn't try. I doubt it. The league lets you modify cars and race them. Crap. Modify in what way? Like, modify the files? Or, like, do they have, like... Do they have, like, pre-baked modifications that you can do to, like, buy a turbocharger for the engine or whatnot? Buy, like, better tires and... yada yada. I've seen there's a couple of leagues in Live for Speed, especially now that Live for Speed is modding, where people just build their own cars and race them to, like, their own, like, touring car leagues and whatnot. These are pretty cool. Something I've thought about on and off throughout the years, having, like, you know, having, like, some kind of, like, custom car cooked up. But I don't really have the expertise in all the things you need to make a car for this game to really make that happen. I could technically pay someone to do it, but whether or not it would even be worthwhile doing or not is a different question. Actually make that corner for once. I keep getting the rear out of the braking. Probably push the brakes forward a little bit. It's about 60. Zaps now, you can go full NFS, yeah. I don't know how those things would really work in a multiplayer context, though. Oh. I think it's just some potato spin out of the back. Oh, this is gonna be an interesting one, I think. Flatten the car out and see what we get. Like, I think that's one of the underlying problems with giving people a lot more freedom is, in an online context, is obviously balance, right? Like, while I don't really care about, like, being sweaty and whatnot, you still kind of want, like, a fair experience for people, right? Keeping things fun and fair. But it's like, when people can go ham modifying cars, it does sort of definitely ended a bit of a mess. There are probably ways you can make it work, but like a lot of trial and error. Would maybe be something I'd be willing to experiment with later down the line, though. Because it could be fun. I don't know. But I mean, well, I need to get the basics working for this first in general. Oh my god, I miss this corner every time. It's looking forward to the ice system and AC Evo, but that's scrap now. Yeah, I really like that announcement where they announced like they were killing all of that stuff. To me, I feel like really killed AC Evo. Like, I see no point in the game now. It's just... like... I don't know what they were thinking with that update. They could have had something. And then they just were like, nah, we're not gonna do that anymore. It's like... huh? The one, like, unique selling point that you'd marketed your game on, and you now throw it in the bin. Yeah, I really don't know what they were thinking with that. Like, I feel like we're desperate for something in this space. I mean, I was kind of talking about it a little bit in the last race. You know, we're kind of desperate for something in this space that, like, just does something more than what, you know, it's being done at the moment, which isn't a lot. Get that wall there. Here we go. Can I make this corner without overshooting it? Right here. It's so much tighter than you think it is. Some of these corners are just tighter than you think they are. But it's pretty cool though. I do like it. Very unique. Even manage something new, people ask for stuff to make it more like business as usual, yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Like, the sim community in particular are one of the worst for that. They see, like, change, and they're like, no. We want GT3 at Spa for the 7 billionth time. I mean, look at AMS2, right? Of course, AMS2 has a lot of its own flaws and whatnot, but, like, they started out with a unique roster of content, but over time, all the DLC stuff they've added, it's just the same old shit. I mean, there are some unique DLC stuff, don't get me wrong, but quite a lot of it is just the same old shit you could buy everywhere else. Like GD3 cars, GD1 cars, hypercars. All the same old tracks, and it's like, wow. This was exactly what I was looking forward to, totally. You know, a game that promises a lot of unique content. Instead it's like, hey, here's these cars and tracks you've driven like 500 times before. Drive them again. Telling me you don't want to buy Nordschleifer another 3 more times? Come on, guys. Get with the program. Best thing is, like, all the pieces are there already. We've seen all the pieces that you need in, like, racing games of old. They might not have all been there in different games, but different games have had different bits, and it's like, it's kind of crazy to me that nobody has sat around and thought, what if we just took a load of these things and put them together? Wouldn't that be great? Apparently nobody thinks that. I feel like with Sims, the problem is they're too hitched up on the realism. But like when you actually look at what Sims are popular, again, the main 2 Sims, I'm gonna exclude BeamNG from this because it's not really a racing sim. But the main two racing sims, iRacing and Assetto Corsa. Those are the two most popular current racing sims. Maybe LMU, I haven't really kept track of how many people play LMU. But AC and iRacing are definitely the most popular too. But they're not the most popular because they're the best physics ones. You know, I have a lot of criticisms I could leverage at AC's physics model. Oops, I think I might have made Adam watch out there with my dirty air. And you know, people have ridiculed iRacing's physics model to the moon and back, which, you know, kind of pays to the idea that physics really aren't. They're a huge part, right, and something that you do need to get right. But like, you really don't need to be as anal about it as a lot of these modern sims are trying to be, because at the end of the day, it's the experience that you sell that really matters compared to how realistic your game is, right? Because realism will always be superseded as technology naturally evolves and gets better. But if you build a good experience, people will keep coming back to that, even 20, 30 years later down the line. I mean, we're still playing this game, and it's over 10 years old now. Oh, you tried. Fair enough. It's not an easy car. I mean, I'm even struggling to get... I think I got one clean... Yeah, I got one clean lap in. One. In this whole practice session, so... I know you'd already said that it was a bit difficult for you on controller. But yeah, it's just such an infuriating space to be in when it's like all the innovations that are coming into the space are innovations that the space doesn't really need. Touch grass mushroom crowd levels of over. True. That context, racing games suck. Okay, we're just kind of talking about how lackluster, especially a lot of modern sim offerings are. Given that like AC and iRacing are still arguably the kings, despite them not getting any newer. Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this a bit more now. I haven't seen much about it. Oh, I just noticed something funny. The mirror's actually... Oh. The mirror's the wrong way up. The middle camera is fine, but the left and right mirrors are upside down. I only really use the middle mirror, though, so that's not the end of the world. I think I need a bit more fuel in this bad boy. They suck, or do they? I feel like a lot of racing games really try to needlessly reinvent the wheel. And there really isn't any, you know, the source to make a really great racing game is there. Right there. Literally right there. But nobody really takes advantage of it. Just take a bit of a drink there as I was rolling out the pits. That's why I touched the grass there a little bit. But yeah, it's like, if people only played racing sims for their simulation value, we would have ditched AC and iRacing years ago, right? But we haven't. Because what these games provide is more than their simulation value. But every modern sim that comes out is like, oh no, we must be the most realistic thing ever. Please, guys, look. Realism. To be honest, I don't even think more casual games are spared nowadays. I haven't seen the trailer from it yet, but that new game from, like, Maverick Games, they're claiming it's gonna be like an open-world narrative racing game or something. It just, like, I heard that and I was like, okay. I already wasn't that much interested in the game. But, like, now it's like, that's pretty much dead in the water for me. They also fumbled the post in the trailer because they ended the reveal and then didn't immediately have the trailer to post, which is ass backwards. But hey ho. But I feel like people really need to stop trying with, like, narratives in racing games. It just... There is a very rare set of cases where it can work, but, like, 9 times out of 10, it just doesn't. Pretty much just NFS Heat / Payback. And it's like, I feel like racing games would be so much better off if they leaned into a more, like, systematic design. Where it's like, you could still have a cool setting with cool designs and cool characters, but instead of forcing in some, like, shallow story that nobody really gives a shit about, you instead give those characters, like, a degree of attributes, and you just kind of let them exist in the world, and just plop you in the world with them. And then the story that comes out of that is a result of, you know, what happens on the track. You could maybe add stuff in, like, you know, upgrades and extra bits along outside of the main racing to add a bit of extra, like, metagaming into it and whatnot, but, like, you know, racing thrives, you know, racing stories thrive off of, you know, the actual racing. You can actually race people and have proper good battles with them. I mean, I guess case in point, look at Forza nowadays, right? Forza Horizon 6 has a quote-unquote story, but nobody's talking about the characters they've made specifically for the game. Everybody on the internet is talking about a generic driver type. You know, a character that has no real meaning, no real purpose, other than to just pad out your single-player race grids. And everybody's talking about it. Because of interactions that have organically grown out of the racing. I'm gonna back the pits here. Kind of fucked up there. God damn it. And yet, like, no. Same system worked fine 2.0 stuff like NFS was one Carbon. I'd say those are still more... Those are a bit too linear for what I'm thinking of. But I think it was definitely a better way of doing a more... having, like, a bit of a story in a racing game, right? Because the story was directly tied to you hitting milestones in the racing. Whereas on the flip side, right, you've got something like F1's Breaking Point, where it's like, the game doesn't care about your accolades. As long as you tick the tick boxes you need to do, the story moves on. And like, I remember seeing from people playing through it, you could win races, but the game only required you to get a podium. So the game doesn't care that you won. It just treats it like you got a podium. It's like, yippee, we got a podium, guys, so cool. But yeah, at least, yeah, in like the older Need for Speed games, you had to complete accolades, be a good driver, and then you would get the chance to have these like big one-on-one battles and whatnot. There's no well-handed, yeah, exactly. But I'm not paying attention to my driving at all. It's only an outlap, that's not the end of the world. It was already invalid also. I don't know, it's annoying. I do wish a lot more games kind of lean into a more... I feel like a lot of games could benefit from having a more systematic style to how they play. And giving the player a lot more freedom in the world. Because, like... it also helps make them more unique as video games, right? A lot of video game stories are kind of one-and-done affairs because you complete them, you've seen the story, bada bing, bada boom, game done. There's no real variance in doing another playthrough. In some cases there are, but like in a lot of cases, stories in video games are very rigid. And you're basically playing an interactive movie, which isn't inherently bad. There's definitely a space for those kind of games to still exist. But I feel like a lot of games out there really don't utilize the medium and the interactivity that comes with it to its full potential. Wait down a second. Get into next long straight. This isn't actually a lap. I want to get something more than just my outlap on the board. Is this a straight? No, I don't think it is. There we go, the bridge. Don't care about that Bowie knife AI from Porsche, it's just a name. Likely blew up because the game sold like 5 million copies and everyone was playing it. Yeah, but my point was more that, right, that like, as you said, Bowie knife is just a name. It's nothing special within the game itself. It's just a generic driver tar. But when you look around on social media, that's all you see. He's become the main character of the game, essentially, in the public eye. Nobody cares about the characters that they created specifically for the game that you see in, like, the cutscenes and whatnot. But it's kind of proof, right, that, like, he's a character that is always present in the races. It's just a generic driver type, but he's always present. You know, for every one race where he takes somebody out and there's a funny YouTube clip uploaded, or TikTok clip or whatever, you know, there's like thousands more where he just kind of finishes in a whatever position. But people have created that narrative around him from their interactions with him in the races. And if you made a system where characters were actually like that was a characteristic that was actually driven in, and instead of just being some generic driver type, it was like, you know, the big cheese in this, like, world that you've created, then it's like, there is a bit more interest there, right? And you end up making stories that are more personal to the player. TXR is pretty much what you want. Not pretty much every character is the name with extra text. No, because that's not exactly what I'm looking for. The thing with TXR, the idea is... So the idea actually is closer to what Street Supremacy does, right? Because Street Supremacy, the teams do their own thing, right? The teams fight each other. In TXR, if you do nothing, the game doesn't really do anything. The other characters aren't out there racing each other. They just kind of sit around idly until you come and beat them. So it's... you know, so think of more games like Street Supremacy, but think of also like RPGs and stuff like, say, Mountain Blade and the likes, where it's like you effectively have an entire simulated like realm with different kingdoms that can go to war with each other and sign treaties and have people desert and stuff like that. It's like a fully living ecosystem. Not literally living, obviously, but it's an ecosystem that feels, in the context of the game at least, alive and is just doing its thing. And you get to, as the player, you get to go in and like shuffle the pieces around as you deem fit. Fuck. Damn it. That's my qualifying over. That understeer was pretty big. I don't know if there is much I could change. I'll try maybe pushing in some toe. Like, I'd actually say, ironically, the actual main career modes, right, in the Formula 1 games are somewhat close to what I'm thinking of as well, right? You have the upgrades, you have the rivalries, drivers can move around, right? It kind of simulates the existence of a Formula 1 season. Nothing is really predetermined or tied down, so depending on how things pan out, everyone's playthrough of the season will be slightly different and unique to them. Of course, the F1 games have many, many flaws, and obviously it's tied to F1, but you could take that idea and instead tie it to a fictional IP, right? Where you have a fictional world of fictional drivers, fictional cars, say like TXR, like Screamer, like other games of the likes, like I guess Need for Speed as well, you know, and have that kind of ecosystem still exist, where they're all racing each other and competing against each other, and like upgrading their cars and whatnot to try and keep that edge. But you could also, with a more fictional stuff, you could do stuff that you couldn't do in like the F1 games. Like, you know, like blatantly cheating and stuff like that. Bending the rules. And it's all like hypothetical, right? But like the main goal is to give the player a sense of direction, but other than giving them some basic direction and guidance, the player has pretty much free control over what they want to do. Realistically, who would want to fund that? I don't know. I guess not racing game fans, because they just want the same shit over and over again. That's why we've seen the same stagnant nonsense for the past 20 years. Oh, God. I think the tail might have been a bit wide there. Clear? I am. Whoa. It's definitely going to be about survival for me, I think. Just for the luck, I will need it. That's why I do wax lyrical about games like Hot Truck 2, for example, because it kind of does all of that. It's a bit of an unconventional racing game, and there's not really any memorable characters, so to speak of, but the core gameplay loop really does kind of... It's probably the closest I've experienced in a sort of quote-unquote racing game. Obviously, the game is pretty old now and has a lot of jank, but you know, we do. It's proof of the pudding that we did it 25 years ago. We can totally do it now and do it a lot better. But we just kinda don't. And it is a shame, because I do think there's a lot of potential there. For a really cool racing game. But no, instead we get more GD3 at Spa and generic, linear, bland narratives instead in racing games, so, well. Oh, yeah, he's got a bit deep. Oh, he spun. Up to second place. I might be demoted back to third, though, because I think Mateo's probably going to be faster than me. My main goal is not to crash, so... When MS2 custom AI profiles fit that criteria in a way. I didn't even know that was a thing, but kind of, yes. NR 2003 and iRacing also have that as well, where you can assign different stats to different drivers, so they all kind of drive a little differently. Admittedly, I haven't really noticed it in those games, but like, you know, you could go a lot further than that, right? I'd like to see a game where like characters can actually like, ooh, yeah, bit too deep there. Been a thing for years by now. I mean, I guess it shows how well documented that is, because I didn't even really know it was a thing. A whip app aims to have that as a feature for AC as well. States could be tied to driver names, so it can over to any car. Yeah, I mean, I just love to see a racing game kind of take on that spirit and like fully embrace the idea of like everything you can do, the AI could do too, right? Like it's a consistent set of rules across the board, and to, you know, have it in a game that hopefully doesn't suck to drive like the Formula 1 games. And, you know, maybe have a fiction-like setting so we can do some more crazy stuff. Instead of playing things too safe. See, it's like... I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but I do find it a little sucky in some racing games, right? That, like, there aren't really any racing games out there where, like, the AI will actually upgrade themselves, right? Like, get better. I mean, sure, I guess technically the Formula 1 career modes and stuff, but, like, you know, you kind of beat them and that's it. You're done. You've beaten them. Man slain, on to next man. But especially in, say, like a game like Street Supremacy, I always felt like that was kind of a missed feature, right? Like, you take ownership of the team, but nobody challenges you. But as you climb the ranks in the team, nobody challenges you from below. And even when you're the leader, nobody challenges you for leadership. But that's something you can do, so why can't the AI do that back to you, you know? Of course, I get, like, they were trying a new concept out. But I think it's more of a shame that they never went back to that idea to flesh it out more. It's like, yeah, you don't very often see in racing games where, like, the AI comes back and is like, huh, I have a better car now. Stuck it, loser. the performance class restricted and I haven't rubber banding, yeah. Ooh, Mateo spun! Oh, he collected that really nicely though, wow. Saw the tire plumes and he was pointing the right way out of it. I got two fast cars. Seems to have that though, even if it makes no narrative sense. It does. My problem with Night Runners though is that everything else about it is bad. And yeah, obviously it's not tight. Like the way they portray the narrative stakes, they really don't come true in the game from what I've experienced and seen so far. I mean, I remember when I was playing the prologue that they've had up on Steam for ages now. There was a guy that was like, "Hey, look, my buddy's got no money. Lose the race, and he's taking out a wager he can't afford. Lose the race, and I'll pay you so that he can win his money." I didn't. Said, "Fuck you, I'm winning." And then he was just in the parking lot with an upgraded car. Like nothing had ever happened. And it's like, maybe I could give it a little bit of slack because it's early. You know, it's still early access, but it's like, at what point do I stop giving that slack to the game anymore? I don't know. I don't even know if that game will ever come out officially. As like a complete product, I should say. Obviously, it's technically already out in the prologue in that, like, Toge demo thing. I think that's going to be the monkey's paw, though, right? Somebody's going to make a game like that, but they're going to wrap it up in a package like Night Runners. And I'm going to hate that I hate it. Well, hate's maybe a strong word, but hate that I don't like it. Run on me down here. A little bit of a race on our hands. Never mind, he's gonna clear me. I think into the braking zone. Yep. Because yeah, a lot of the general design choices and general gameplay in Night Runners I don't agree with and I don't really find fun. Even if they did lean into a lot of the... Oh my god! I got that way wrong. Jesus. Shoot Racing Syndicate is more alive in that sense. Betting system, corny GF system where the girl can even dub you. And the winner bag can beat you. Yeah. But that's the thing, right, is the elements are there. The elements are there. They have appeared in games in the past. And like kind of teased. All somebody needs to do, like even if we take out the more systematic features, right? Just even like general racing game features, right? There are better racing games out there than what's available now. People need to just take what was there, take what's worked, bundle it together in a nice shiny new package, and you've got something that could sell. But sadly, most people just go to, let's reinvent the wheel. And do things that we shouldn't do in racing games instead. Or have been tried so many times before and don't really work. Track Striker, there's a lot of things like people don't play. Things that... Ooh, I should have read that there. Fuck. God damn it. Why did I do that? See, the 11s is from where I died last time. There's a lot of things right. People that play it because the things are just wrong, just endlessly complain about it. I don't know, yeah. Cards is a game Car Exchange is definitely a game I've very much sat on the fence on. There's some things that I like, but I don't know. There's just... I feel like there's some spark that's kind of missing there that kind of just makes me go, yep, I'll buy it. The whole AI stuff definitely kicks it down a few pegs. I know it's like pretty minute in the grand scheme of things, but not a great look either. Yeah, the rain up set off the night cycle. Ooh. No, I'll read that down the next actual street. I'm not gonna make that mistake again, even though I nearly did. Hope they spin out again. Rain. Oh, and massively overhaul the map with one gun style highway system. Hmm. Surprisingly, I haven't fallen too far back, despite all my mistakes. Okay, I know real time is not the most trustworthy thing ever, but I can still see them on the little mini-map, so... Oh, yellow flag. Somebody went a little wide. I think it was only out for a split second. It seems like this is likely going to be my finishing spot, unless somebody has an incident up ahead. You know, thinking about it a little bit, it might be a bit of a hot take, but I feel like maybe one of the things that makes Car X Street not really resonate with me, I feel like the game doesn't really have much of its own identity as per se. It's a perfectly serviceable game, but in a lot of ways it feels like, hey, look, we have X, Y, and Z at home. Not to say that is inherently a bad thing, but it's not... Nothing really standing out that it's like, whoa, this is a game I must play. That wheel. That's going to fill out boxes, fun to drive around. City drive around, taking mountain roads, both normal and large north like racing circuit, DLC, and an even bigger highway system. They even teased a potential map expansion too. What more could they really add, though? It sounds like they've pretty much got everything you could really want there. They've ticked pretty much all the boxes. Oh, got a bit deep there. Coastline, maybe? No. What would a coastline really add, though? I don't know. Especially if it were to be a DLC, it would have to add something in that doesn't already exist. Scenery and vibe is enough. Maybe, but I'd still kind of question what was the point, really. I do think scenery and vibes are definitely valuable. I feel like gameplay merit kind of comes before everything else. You know, I'm not going to pick up a new track or car in AC just because it looks pretty. Well, maybe I will, but I won't keep it around if it doesn't also play nice. Bit of luck up that. Oof. That was not easy. Maybe not the best track to start this season on. Trial by fire. Actually, drifting two things that might matter more. I'm looking at apex brake markers. I mean, you're not entirely wrong in that regard, but I feel like my point still stands. That wasn't easy at all. No, that really wasn't. Oh, I can't believe I fucked up the way I did, though. I was just being stupid and read chat. Classic streamer blunder. Well, I made an actual mistake before that, but maybe that was also partially influenced by reading chat also, but... I really killed the race when I read chat into a corner that I really shouldn't have. Sadly, I can't really blame chat. That was all on me. I got off to a pretty okay start. Take a quick peek at the liveries though. Yeah, with the good old classic. Nice CRS logos. Gary with the Pikachu mobile. Pika Pika Racing. And then whatever the hell this is. Good idea, staging a coupe. Bad idea, staging a coupe. Good idea, slipstreaming on the pit straight. Bad idea, slipstreaming at the pit. Good idea, racing with a helmet. Bad idea, sim racing with a helmet. Good idea, getting excited about a race. Bad idea, getting excited about the race. True. True. Good idea, pitting for wets when it's raining. Bad idea, pitting for wets before it's raining. Oh, and one more. Yeah, good idea, braking to slow down. Bad idea, braking to slow. Oh, there's another one on the wing as well. Man, I got a F7 to get that one. Good idea having an active suspension in your car. Bad idea having an active... Oh, active suspension on your license. That's pretty great. Of course, with the numbers in the, like, speed limit sign. Peak livery. Didn't get to see it much because he kind of checked off into the sunset after the beginning. It's a game, though, that collects things people liked in the past and want from other series that refuse to include them. Yeah. That is definitely true. The issue is, though, right, is that, well, go with a huge run there. This thing gets massive slipstream runs. But I guess, yeah, just to quickly add to that. Is it like, as honest and as a start crew progression with boss races and cutscenes? Yeah. But, like, I think the big problem there, right, is that, like, it does do all of that. But I feel like, again, kind of, sort of what I alluded to earlier, right, is I feel like the game doesn't really have much of an identity of its own, really. And I feel like that is something that is still kind of important. Like, no doubt there's a respectable product there, but, like, you know, for example, the boss races and the crew stuff kind of falls a bit flat when it's, like, it's just, like, AI gen voice guy telling you, wow, you strong racer. And, like, and the likes. You know, I mean, again, while I think the game isn't very particularly great, the new Screamer definitely got a lot of appeal because it had a lot of eyes on it because it had a very striking identity. The game knew what it wanted to be, and it lent into that pretty hard. While I don't think the end product was very good, you know, I do still commend them for committing to their idea. Oh, it's unlucky from Phil. Terrible place to pause right before that happened. Ooh. Downforce a bit too strong. I think I did see on the page this is like 0.5. Oh, it seems like on my car it's fine. I guess it's like a client car problem. And you see in mine, it's not happening. On Yari's, it's happening. The test is happening too. Online quirks. You love to see them. This car is an absolute beast, though. In both the good and the bad sense. Oh, yeah, there we go. It is incredibly fast, but it is hard to control in some cases. So easy. Yeah, see, I think he just catch a bad bump too early on the throttle. Yeah, bad bump, I think. Right as he picked up the throttle and around he went. Avoided everything. And get Sally Airlines sound less cringe than that. And what way bigger studios put out Vax reactors? Saw a squirrel, yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. Again, it's as I alluded to earlier, right? Arguably, if you look at social media, the main character in Forza Horizon 6 is a generic driver tar. Not the actual characters that they paid a bunch of people to create and write and voice and design. And nobody cares about them. Whoops, yeah, I fucked up there a little bit. Gave the place to Mateo. Yeah, the slipstream this car gets is insane. I don't know if you saw there, I kind of had to back off because I didn't really want to make a pass. You see pretty much down the straight, I'm immediately picking up that slipstream, so I braked way earlier than I normally would. Because I didn't want to... Well, I didn't want to run into the back of it. Obviously, that kind of hurt me through that section there in the end, but... yeah, he was faster than me anyway, so... I got checked out. However, we jump forward a little bit. And... Oh, he just got too wide there and touched the grass. Around he went. Very good recovery there. Very minimal. Yeah, the tire mug looked the worst on my end. I guess from that slide there. But yeah, very minimal. Oh, he got more wheel spin trying to get going again than he did in the spin. Oh. Promoted me and Yari up. Yeah, I would actually look to the inside here. Oh my god. He got away with that one. So did I guess, technically, there. He very easily could have wiped me out, too. Breaking news schedule is updates to be all street circuits with no grass in sight. I mean, this schedule already is, basically. I think next week we're at Belle Isle. Yes, Belle Isle next week. So yeah, no runoffs to save there. Yeah, he got me nice and cleanly down into here. So you just better run out the corner. And he caught that giant toe. Yeah, dirty air is gonna be a huge factor in racing here, I think, but like, so is that slipstream. Like, it is absurdly powerful. So I think we should still see some racing here. It's not, hopefully not just gonna be like rank and file. Also just how unpredictable this car can be in general, right? I think that'll also play into it. Oh yeah, here did I brake too late? I did. Okay. Yeah, I was just too late on the brakes. Got my markers all wrong. Luckily, avoided Yari. That was pretty close, though. I didn't really realize it until I was, like, closing up. I was like, uh-oh. When I first started braking, I thought, oh, it's just fine. I was like, oh, no. Oh, no. And then it was like, still oh no, but you. At least I didn't murder him as well. Of course, that put me on the back burner, and then next lap, I decided it was a brilliant idea to re-chat into this corner. So, completely offline, braked way too late, and off into the barriers I went. wasn't too badly damaged from that, but that basically put me back. However, these two are still right on top of each other. Let's see how this goes. One last plus to say about CarX. Find it telling even though FA6 cramps to its museum, the most commonly used mod is still a Spotify mod. CarX treat is the option to just add MP3s. You can write the game OST without being afraid of bans. Yeah, I'm surprised they don't just add like an option for that. But hey ho. I guess they spent all that money on licensing that it'll expire in like 2 months, so I don't want it to go to waste. Or around the outside. Does it work? Ooh. Bit eager on the power there. That was nearly a disaster. Would have been exactly the kind of disaster I needed. But unfortunately for me, that didn't happen. Fortunately for these two, it didn't also. Got a bit of a wiggle there. Lost some ground, but he pulled it back in. Big slipstream. Outbreaks him around the outside. Clears him. Seemed like... Yeah, exactly. That's what I was... Yeah. That's what I was joking about, right? Like 2 months. We'll lose all... Oh, he gets on the grass. He saves it, though. What's his license? It is so bogus. I think in a way it almost creates a bit of FOMO around owning the game itself. Because you know it'll be delisted pretty shortly after. Because like, 4 years really isn't that long in the grand scheme of things. Like, I kind of regret not buying 4 on Steam when it came out and was, like, dead cheap on sale. Because I have it on the Microsoft Store, and it is a horrible experience using the Microsoft Store. It seems like these two are battling pretty much right up to the end. Yeah, he tried, it didn't really work out, but he caught some bad lines of dirty air there, so I think... Yeah, Teo ended up winning out there. And obviously... Oh. But unfortunately being way back. Same with FH4, yeah. But I think for one out of the F1 games. Yeah. Stupid. Kinda wish it wasn't a thing, but hey ho. Companies aren't going to stop. Anyways, more positive though. That was some pretty fun racing. Didn't really quite go the way I was hoping on my end things to have gone. I made a few too many mistakes in both the races, really. But I enjoyed that stuff. It was good fun. Yeah. So next week we are at Kimura short layout in the Legends car. And then in the Class 1 we are at Belle Isle, which should be very interesting. And yes, definitely some learnings to take away from these opening rounds. Yeah, I'll look on getting the results up after this. Yeah, hopefully throughout this season I'll slowly fill out the historic results page as well. And hopefully at some point soon as well I'll also get the per race results up. I have them all. I have them all in a nice format. It's just converting that format into Well, converting every single one of those into a format that will work nicely on the website is a whole different kettle of fish. But I'll figure something out. We'll see. Hyperlink for these streams on the historic page. Could do, yeah. I do wanna... So I am currently working... I guess I can include that in the... I'm working on adding a little bit to the bottom. That will allow you to select each of the races from the season. And that'll bring up the like per race results. So I could probably include the like stream link in like have like a little details blurb at the top and have the stream links included in there. So that people can go back and reference them. But yeah, it's definitely not a bad shout. Maybe I'll get the per round stuff up just with the live streams on them for now. I don't know. We'll see. Just like a little note saying like race results coming soon or whatever. I don't know. Because yeah, again, I need to come up with some kind of like script or something to like convert all of the current files I have into a nice format that can just be plopped on the website. Which is going to be a bit of a faff. So that'll definitely take me a bit of time to figure out. I might add it to the current series, just for now, as like, so I'm slowly building it up anyways, like in a more manual sense, and then on the side work out, but I don't know, I'll figure things out. I still need to, like, actually make it work in the first place, which will take a bit longer, but, yeah. It's definitely something I can add in. But yeah, my brain is run a complete blank. I don't think I really have much else to add at the moment. If anybody has anything they wanna, any more suggestions they wanna throw in the hat, anything they wanna raise, or anything, just anything, then I'm all ears. Obviously, of course, you can also always post stuff on the Discord and wherever, to reach out and whatnot. If you have any ideas and whatnot. But, yeah, we're very slowly getting to, stepping towards where I kind of want things to be. It's gonna take a while, that's for sure. You know, it's just me doing it, and it's down to when I have the time and motivation to do more programming beyond my day job. But yeah, things are slowly coming together, and hopefully eventually we'll be there. But yeah, I don't really have any more to add than that at this current moment in time. So yeah, and if nobody has anything they wanna throw in, then I think that is a pretty suitable point to wrap things up for the night. So thanks everyone who came out and raced. Thanks everyone who came out and chatted. Of course, next week, as I mentioned, Kimura for the short layout for Kimura for the Legends, and Belle Isle for the 911, which should be pretty interesting. And yeah, hopefully I'll get some little updates and stuff out throughout the coming weeks for the website and whatnot. We'll see. Probably not much tonight, unless I feel like really impassioned to do some stuff. I'll get like the actual race results up for tonight, so you can see how the tables are standing and whatnot, especially for the Legends, given that we did 2 races. So the results will likely be already somewhat established there. But yeah, for now, that is pretty much all on the stream. So yeah. Take care, everyone, and I will see you all around. Adios.